The Vanishing Hitchhiker. The rain pounded against the windshield as I drove down the desolate highway. The night shrouded in darkness. It was a night like any other until I saw her, a young woman drenched in rain. Her thumb outstretched, hitchhiking by the side of the road. My instincts screamed at me to keep driving, but something about her disheveled appearance and the stormy night tugged at my conscience. I pulled over, and she climbed into the back seat, her face hidden beneath the hood of her rain-soaked jacket. "Thanks for stopping," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain. "I need to get home." I nodded and continued driving, the sound of rain providing an eerie backdrop to our silence. I stole glances at her in the rearview mirror, but her face remained hidden in shadow. As we approached an intersection, I turned to ask her for directions, but the back seat was empty. The woman had vanished, leaving behind nothing but a puddle of rainwater on the seat. My heart raced, and I pulled over, frantically searching the car for any sign of her. There was no trace, as if she had never been there. I continued my journey, the memory of the vanishing hitchhiker haunting me. I reached her supposed destination, a small cemetery at the edge of town, where the rain had turned the earth to mud. In the distance, I saw her, a ghostly figure with long, wet hair, her face still hidden in shadow. She beckoned me to come closer, and I realized that she was not the woman I had picked up on the highway. Panic set in as I realized I had encountered a malevolent spirit, a phantom hitchhiker who lured unsuspecting drivers to their doom. I sped away from the cemetery, the memory of the vanishing hitchhiker and the ghostly figure still haunting me. A chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked on the open road. The haunting road. It was a moonless night, and I found myself on a winding road that cut through a dense forest. The trees loomed over the asphalt like ancient sentinels, casting eerie shadows on the road ahead. I had heard rumors of the road being haunted, but I didn't believe in such things. That is, until that fateful night. As I drove deeper into the forest, the silence became oppressive, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and the soft hum of my engine. It was a feeling of isolation that sent shivers down my spine. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and I began to doubt whether I was heading in the right direction. That's when I saw it, a figure standing in the middle of the road, its back to me. I slammed on the brakes, my heart racing, but it was too late. I struck the figure with a sickening thud, and the car jolted to a halt. Trembling, I stepped out, my flashlight revealing a lifeless body lying on the road. The sight was horrifying, and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. As I bent down to check for signs of life, I heard a voice, a soft, haunting whisper that seemed to come from the very depths of the forest. "You should not have come here." I looked around, but there was no one in sight. The voice grew louder, more insistent. "You should not have come here," it repeated. I glanced at the lifeless figure on the road, its eyes staring blankly into the darkness. It was then that I realized the truth. The figure I had struck was not a person, but a ghost, a restless spirit haunting the haunted road. Panic set in as I realized the danger I was in. I rushed back to my car and tried to start the engine, but it sputtered and died. The haunting whisper continued, growing louder and more malevolent. I was trapped on the haunted road, with no escape from the vengeful spirit that I had unwittingly disturbed. The forest seemed to close in around me, and the whisper became a chorus of tormented voices. Hours turned into days, and I remained trapped, my car refusing to start. The ghostly figure on the road watching me with accusing eyes. It was as if I had become part of the haunting, a prisoner on the haunted road. In the end, I was never able to escape, and the memory of the haunting road and the vengeful spirit still haunts me. A chilling reminder that some places are cursed beyond imagination. The phantom radio. It was a long, desolate stretch of highway, and my radio had gone silent, leaving me alone with the monotonous hum of the engine. I switched it off and resigned myself to the silence. Also, I thought. As I drove, I began to hear a faint, eerie melody, like the distant strains of a music box. I checked the car's radio, but it was still turned off. The haunting tune grew louder, filling the car with its mournful notes. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see someone in the back seat, but there was no one there. The melody seemed to be coming from the very air itself, a phantom radio playing an otherworldly tune. I tried to shake off the unease and focus on the road, but the melody continued, its eerie beauty both enchanting and unsettling. It was as if the very night was serenading me, with a ghostly symphony. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and the melody grew more insistent. More haunting, I realized that it was leading me somewhere, guiding me to an unknown destination. As I followed the phantom melody, I began to feel a strange compulsion, a desire to continue on this mysterious journey. I knew not where I was headed, but I could not resist the pull of the haunting tune. The road led me to an old, abandoned mansion at the edge of town. It was a place I had never seen before, a decaying relic of a bygone era. The melody reached its crescendo, and I knew that I had reached my destination. I stepped out of the car and approached the mansion, the melody still ringing in my ears. The front door creaked open, as if inviting me inside. The interior was filled with the soft glow of candlelight, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I ventured deeper into the mansion, the melody guiding my every step. It was as if I had become part of a haunting symphony, a piece of music that had transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. In the heart of the mansion, I found a grand piano, its keys beckoning me to play. I hesitated, but the melody grew more insistent, more compelling. I sat down at the piano and began to play, my fingers dancing across the keys. As the haunting melody filled the mansion, I felt a presence, a figure standing in the shadows. It was a woman, her eyes filled with longing and sorrow. She reached out to me, her fingers brushing against my skin, leaving a trail of ice in their wake. "Play for me," she whispered, her voice a haunting echo. "Play for all eternity." I played the melody, lost in its ethereal beauty, a prisoner of the phantom radio. The woman's presence enveloped me, and I knew that I would never leave the mansion, that I had become part of its haunting melody. The memory of the phantom radio and the haunted mansion still haunts me, a chilling reminder that some music is not meant for the living,